Mackenzie's Raiders. His secret orders from the President of the United States. Clean up the Southwest. Make it a fit place for Americans to live. Wipe out the renegades, outlaws, and murderers. If necessary, cross the Rio Grande, knowing capture means hanging by the enemy. Discovery, court-martial by the United States Army. Summer 1873, the road between Brackettville and Fort Clark. Though Colonel Mackenzie's 4th Cavalry had brought peace to much of this area, there were still men dedicated to restoring the frontier to violence. One such man was an American expatriate known by the Spanish name El Halcon, the Hawk. Beyond being a plunderer, Halcon was driven by the need for a special kind of revenge. Each man in the uniform of the 4th Cavalry was his enemy, his deadly enemy, to be destroyed without mercy or cause.
Let's leave these two be, Halcon. We got a lot of other things to take care of today.
They're soldiers, aren't they? And I say what we do. Cut them off. Go ahead.
Every soldier he can get his hands on is dead.
6 in less than a month. What's he trying to do? He can't kill off the whole regiment.
He's got enough hatred in him to try. He was in the Army once himself.
Halcon?
Long time ago, long before he called himself Halcon. He and the Army didn't get along very well. He was plain Corporal Charles Barron then. Now he's trying to get even.
I wonder who with.
Me. I court-martialed him. Sergeant Wells.
Yes, sir.
Cut those men down. Then we're going back to Fort Clark.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant, please organize a grave detail. Then have the sergeant dismiss the men.
Yes, sir.
Please. Oh, Brian. Tell Sergeant Wells I want to see him as soon as he comes in. Come in.
Shall I make out an incident report, sir?
No, Sergeant, I'll do it. Oh, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
How are the men taking it? I mean about Smith and Peterson being...
Well, they're kind of jumpy, sir. I don't think there'll be any complaints about passes being canceled. I heard one of the troopers say this morning that he wished the colonel would cancel all passes, so he wouldn't be tempted to go to town and end up getting himself killed.
We gotta stop this, Sergeant. I don't want any of my men going over the hill just because of some revenge-hungry ex-soldier.
Well, Halcon was in Brackettville last night, sir.
We keep learning these things too late to do us any good. What brought him to Brackettville?
Oh, he got after some new people in town. He would have killed him if the neighbors hadn't come out with guns.
He's never gone after civilians before.
Well, he did last night.
All right. All right, Sergeant, let's go.
Where to, sir?
Brackettville. I want to know why Halcon picked on these particular civilians. Come on.
I'm Jack Taylor.
Oh, how do you do? Colonel Mackenzie, this is Sergeant Wells.
Howdy. Boy tells me you want to talk about what happened last night.
Yes, I'd like to talk to you and to your wife.
Well, she'll be right down. She's been resting all day. Sit down, gentlemen, please.
Thank you. Sergeant. Well, I understand you and your wife are newcomers to Bracketville.
Yes, sir. We moved here from San Antonio about a week ago. I'm opening a new store. I own one in San Antonio and one in Austin.
Sound like a prosperous man, Mr. Taylor.
I'm a fortunate man, Colonel. John, would you mind stepping outside while your mother and I talk with these gentlemen?
All right.
John, please do as your father says, dear.
Mary, this is Colonel Mackenzie and Sergeant
Wells.
Sergeant Wells.
How do you do?
What can we do for you, Colonel Mackenzie?
Well, Mrs. Taylor, I understand that you people were attacked last night by one Charles Barron. It's the first time I've known him to attack civilians. He robs them, yes, but this is the first time I've known him to attack them. I wondered if there was some particular reason why.
Colonel Mackenzie, I'm afraid I couldn't say why this man...
We may as well tell it, Jack. We're going to need protection, Colonel Mackenzie. I just married Mr. Taylor a year ago. I was married before. To Charles Barron. John is his son.
Barron's decided he wants the boy back.
He lost track of us, you see. I left Charles over 6 years ago, but then we came here and he found us again.
Last night he came for the boy.
If John hadn't been staying the night with a friend, I'd have lost my son.
And we wouldn't tell him where he could find the boy. Well, you can see what he did.
He'd have killed us if some of our neighbors hadn't helped us. He hates us, Colonel Mackenzie, and he's a man of deep hates. I wouldn't go with him, you see. 6 years ago, when he broke out of prison and went to live across the border, I wouldn't go with him. I wouldn't do it.
And last night's the first time you've seen him since then?
The first time. But it won't be the last, I'm sure of that.
He'll be back for the boy. He said so.
And he won't stop at anything to get what he wants, I can tell you that.
Yes, I know Charles Barron, Mrs. Taylor. I know the kind of man he is.
We've decided the best thing for us to do is leave this town on the next stage. I'll send someone else to open the new store.
But between now and then, we need protection. Or he'll take my boy across the Rio Grande and I'll never see him again. He'll turn John into an outlaw just like he is himself. Will you help us, Colonel Mackenzie?
Mrs. Taylor, perhaps we can help each other. Now, I can't put a guard on this house around the clock. In the first place, I haven't manpower enough for that. And in the second place, even if I did, it would probably only serve to keep Barron away. However, I do think it would be a good idea if you and Mr. Taylor and your son would come to the fort.
To stay?
No, just until the next stage. Just until this Charles Barron, this Hawken, as he likes to call himself, makes his next move.
Well, I can't think of a safer place.
Mrs. Taylor, if you'll just get some things together, we'll drive you out to the fort right now.
I'll be as quick as I can. Excuse me.
Well, this is very kind of you, Colonel.
I'm hoping we'll both profit from this, Mr. Taylor.
We'll be with you directly.
Mary! Mary! They ain't here. They must have tore out after last night. Mary! If we keep hanging around here, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Set fire to it.
Who are you? What do you want?
I want to know where the Taylors are.
Well, I don't know.
Kill you. Now, do you want me to have to ask your wife and kids?
They don't know.
Where are the Taylors? Come on, tell me.
The fort. They went out to Fort Clark. Some soldiers were here.
I ought to kill you. I'm trying to get that gun.
If my son comes back here, you give him that knife. And you tell him I'm waiting for him. And you tell his mother that if she's smart, she'll send him to me. And I won't have to come back. Thought I told you to burn the house this way. Crazy! The whole town's gonna be down on us for this. Right in the face. Hi, John. How you doing? You're a little shy, aren't you? I haven't seen you talking to anybody.
I'm not shy.
You know, I have a boy. Of course, he's not as big as you. He's back in New Orleans with my wife. And I tell you, I miss him.
Keep away from me. I hate soldiers. Pa hates them, and so do I.
Just because he does something, there's no reason you have to. You ought to take after your new pa instead of after...
He ain't my pa. Jack Taylor ain't my pa. I'm Charles Barron's son. And he's coming to get me. And no soldiers can stop him. Because he's smarter and braver than any soldier.
He's a murderer and a thief, John.
And you're scared of him. You're scared he's gonna kill you. Well, he is. He's coming to get me so I can join him. And he's gonna kill all of you.
The Taylor family was now under the protection of the fort. But there was one thing Mackenzie hadn't planned on. One thing that made the big difference when Halcone made his move. And that was the attitude of John Barron, the boy supposedly seeking protection at Fort Clark. In this connection, Colonel Mackenzie was destined to regret his hope that L. Halcone would take action.
We just found him, sir.
I said I hoped Halcon would make a move. Take charge, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Ask the Taylors to come to my office.
Yes, sir.
Colonel Mackenzie, you've got to do something.
Mr. Taylor, one of my men is lying out there dead right at this moment. He's not the first man of mine that Halcon has killed. I know I've got to do something. I'm sorry, Mrs. Taylor. Now, perhaps you can help us. Perhaps you can tell me as simply as you can and as calmly as you can just what happened. When did you first miss your son?
Not until Sergeant Wells woke us up. They'd found that soldier out there and they knew Charles had been here. John didn't come in with Jack and me when we went to bed last night. He stayed outside. I guess he never did come in because his bed wasn't even slept in.
Kidnapped. Right here in an army fort.
Mr. Taylor, my man is dead because he wasn't alert. But the boy is gone because he wanted to go with his father. That's hardly kidnapping.
I didn't see any reason to tell you that he admired his father that much. I didn't think it would matter.
No, of course not.
We tried to teach John better, but we got so we never talked about it because it hurt Jack so much.
I know.
The boy thought his father was some kind of a hero.
All right, Mrs. Taylor. I'll get your boy back. And at the same time, I'll get Halcon.
Attention. 19 men volunteered, sir. I chose these.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, men. At ease. Oh, this is Senor Torres. Tonight, men, we go after Halcon. All right, gather around. That Senor Torres scout the other side of the river for us. Tells me that Halcon's camp is just about here. He also tells me he's got 8 men with him in camp. That means we'll be somewhat outnumbered. However, we have surprise on our side, and we have an organized plan. Now, Lieutenant. Yes, sir. We'll cross the river just about.
Mackenzie and his raiders proceeded to a point about a mile above Halcon's camp. Once in position, the raiders made preparations to infiltrate the camp. Having located the hideout at the top of a ravine, Mackenzie and his men made their approach. The plan was simple. Remove the perimeter guard, then strike for Halcon himself.
Soldiers!
Let's get out of here. Ride with me. Cover me.
All right, get up.
Go ahead. Kill me.
Not a chance. You're going back where you were 6 years ago. All right, on your feet.
How are you? Are you all right?
He left me.
John's a good boy, Mrs. Taylor. I think everything's going to be all right now.
Oh, I know it will, Colonel. And someday John will know it, too.
John, the man who kills and then runs away isn't a brave man. The brave man is the man who fights when he has to, and fights to the end. Like those soldiers did for you last night. Lieutenant, take charge of the prisoner and dismiss.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Wells. Tell the men that passes are available again as of now.
Yes, sir.
Mackenzie's raiders rode again and again, carrying out the secret orders of the President of the United States. Do whatever necessary to clean up the Southwest. Make it a decent place for